It's 7 o'clock here in the UK and it is Dream Whiskies time. Hope you are all well. Just going to say it up front because I forgot last week. I hope everybody is well. I hope you're safe. I hope you are healthy, and we have about an hour of fun with you guys. So something to take your mind off of what's going on in the world at the moment, something to get your mind off of the troubles and onto a bit of light relief. So whiskey fun for you this evening, loads of stuff on the go, and I'm just going to run through very quickly what we have on the go for you tonight. So firstly, we have our new feature, which is the whole mix with me idea. So you should have a list of ingredients if you're playing along, and we do that towards the end of the broadcast, and that's where you're going to need the following. You'll need some whiskey, your choice. You're going to need some coffee, doesn't matter whether it's hot or it's cold. Some maple syrup. If you don't have maple syrup, doesn't matter, you can use another syrup. I'm just using maple syrup because I like the flavour. And finally some cream. So you're going to need those 4 ingredients to mix a cocktail with us later on in this broadcast. What else do we have for you? We've got a couple of other cocktails, some pretty good cocktails. Last week we started something called Whiskey Geek of the Week, which we're continuing this week. Last week our Geek of the Week was Paul Musson, and he spent a week pinned to the top of our Facebook page as our Whiskey Geek of the Week. So tonight is your chance to become next week's Whiskey Geek of the Week. We have results of our competitions coming up. We have a quiz actually as we're running through, and of course we have our VIP spot prize quiz as well. We've got a lot of stuff on the go for you this evening, but it always starts with a drink. But before we start with a drink, let's say hi to a few people. So hi Jane, how are you doing? Good to see you. Trevor, glad you joined us. Trevor, I think it was at the end you joined us last week. So good to see you here at the beginning. I hope you've all got your bits and pieces for our mix with me later on in the broadcast. Kieran, how you doing? Bruce, good to see you. Paul Slade, always a pleasure to see you. What's this? Bruce is saying if you don't like coffee, how about some strong black tea? Listen, Bruce, do what you want to do. I'm never one to say don't do it, but just don't do it. It's got to be coffee tonight. Oh, how you doing? Paul Musson, evening, Paul, on the Woodford Reserve. That's, by the way, Paul won our Whiskey Geek of the Week last week, and someone's got to take his place on the site tonight, so let's see how we're doing. Barry, how are you doing? Good to see you. Barry's not here as usual, but always good to see him. Steve, Cheryl, Rich Webster, John, Carl, Trevor, big thanks, thumbs up, and Jeff, what are you doing? Joining from, is that California? Just from, good to see you. James, how you doing? Simon, always a pleasure. Cat Jam is on the Ardmore too. Right, so look, this is what I got before we kick off. I got a whiskey on the go. Remember, tell me what you got so that we can all cheers with each other and enjoy a little whiskey. If you don't have a whiskey, that's fine. Just tell me what you got in your glass, and if you don't have a glass and you've got a cup with a mug of tea, that's fine as well. But join us for a drink. I got some Macallan Gold on the go. So I'm a bit of a Macallan fan. Some people are a bit precious about Macallan. In a negative way, they say it's a bit too much of a marketing exercise. Other people have got Macallan in their collection, which they spent more than $1 million on. So Macallan sort of spreads right the way across the spectrum. But mine is an entry level. It's the Macallan Gold, and cheers to you all. Thanks for joining us this evening. Just love it. By the way, sneak preview. I'm just going to show you this stuff here. This is some new bartending equipment that I got. Got a sponsor now. Being sponsored by a producer of amazing barware, and I'll show you some of that stuff later on. Plus, actually, there's some opportunities for you guys as well, but I'll tell you about that later on. Before I dive into our first cocktail, a few more hellos. Mark, how you doing? Mark, you're not drinking anything because you're working. Well, I tell you what, if you're working, that's good, because a lot of us aren't working right now. Jamie, how you doing from Guildford? What else we got going on there? Kieran's got a Quinta Rubin 12-year-old. That's the Glenmorangie. So, which is Quinta Rubin is the, which one is that? Is that the port cask? Can't remember which one the Quinta Rubin is. Remind me which one it is, Kieran. But I know I've drunk it and I know I love it, so it's good stuff. Right, before I get into the first cocktail of the evening, just want to tell you how it's going to work tonight for our Whiskey Geek of the Week. So, last week we introduced this for the first time, a bit of fun while we're all locked down. Carrying on the fun this week because people seem to enjoy it. So what's going to happen is through our broadcast, I'm going to ask you a variety of different questions, all whiskey related. You need to note down the answers because you're going to use those answers to come up with our keyword at the end of the broadcast. The first person to give me the correct keyword is going to become our Whiskey Geek of next week. So your picture will be pinned to the top of our Facebook page for all 11,000 of our followers to see. So you can be proud of yourself as the Whiskey Geek. So you need to find out the keyword this week is going to be another whiskey. So you can think of it as a whiskey name or a whiskey distillery, but I'm looking for the name, the brand name if you like, of a specific whiskey. I'll give you a clue up front, it's a Scotch whiskey. Now, I'm going to ask you nine questions throughout our broadcast this evening. Get yourself a pencil and a paper and a pen if you want, because I use pens and pencils, I use them all. And you can write down your answers. You're going to need those answers to work out the keyword at the end, but I'm not going to tell you how to work out the keyword until you've got the answers. So, first question, here we go. This is for all you wonderful whiskey geeks out there. First question is this. What do you call the whiskey that is lost from the barrel through evaporation? So just to be clear, when you put whiskey in a barrel so that it ages, over time, what happens is there is evaporation through the barrel. It's about 2% every year. So every year that whiskey is sitting in the barrel, 2% of it is lost. Now, that loss has a name, a very famous name. What do we call it? That's the question for number one. Question number one. Write it down because you're going to need that to help you get the keyword to become our Whiskey Geek of the Week at the end of this broadcast. Okay, question number two. This is before we go into our first cocktail. Question number two. Actually, I'll let you write down your answers for question number one. What else we got going on? Wow, David's broken into his Glenfarclas 25. That is a spectacular whiskey, David. You can't actually post a photograph of yourself with it here, but you can send one to me on Messenger and I'll stick it on our Facebook page if you want to send that. Paul, what you got on the go? Bushmills, as you acquired a bottle recently. Yes, indeed you did. You acquired it because you won our spot prize giveaway, and we've got some answers and some results for those giveaways in a second. Joanna, hi. How are you doing? Good to see you here. Nice that you are joining us. Hopefully you've got something special in your glass. Joanna, I actually know Joanna particularly well because she's my sister-in-law and we don't see her too often on here, but what the hell? What else are you going to be doing right now, Joanna? Make sure you've got a glass for you and the family, and you've got, I don't know, something really powerful and potent in your glasses. Kieran's saying it's a port cask. Yes, absolutely right. Thank you very much for that. Barry, can I use a crayon? What, you mean to write down the answers? Yes, crayon is absolutely fine. Yes, but don't eat it. Good advice from Jane there. Just scrolling down, Gary Cummins. How are you doing? Good to see you. Look, Gary, because you are on, I think it's about time, before we go into our first cocktail of this evening's broadcast, I've got our results for last week's competitions. So, firstly, the spot prize competition for last week, I'm giving away a cocktail kit. So essentially what I was giving away is a cocktail shaker in a glass, not this one because I've used this. And a spoon I think was in there, and a strainer. Let me get a strainer as well. So something like this. I was giving all of these away, and the winner of last week's spot prize, and I'll be getting this kit off to you ASAP, is Michael Nolan. Michael, congratulations. If you're there, say hi, and if you're not, I was going to say don't, but then of course you won't because you're not. So and then last week's main whiskey competition. So our VIP whiskey competition, so our VIP members are able to enter those competitions. And of course, we used to give away a specific whiskey every week, or rather every month. Now we give away one every week. And if you win, you can choose from our prize library. So there's over 50 whiskies there. You pick the prize you want. And who's picking it this week? I already given you a slight clue. Gary Cummins, it's you. You are the winner from last week's competition. Congratulations to you. I'm clapping on my own. By the way, my wife always criticizes me for clapping at the TV when I'm just sort of there on my own. No one can hear me. But Gary, congratulations. So you're the winner of that competition. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow and you can pick what. Let's say a few other highs. What's going on? That was a quick week. Here we are again. It's a quick week for you, but some people think it's a slow week. People are saying, you know, maybe I should be broadcast 2 or 3 times. Not that I'm going to, but people are saying it. Big congrats to Michael. Well done, Michael. Congrats to Michael. Also, congrats to Gary. Well done. I'm here, Paul. Brilliant. There you go. That's fantastic. And what else have we got? Well done, Gary. Good job. All right, let's get into tonight's cocktail. So remember, if you are mixing with me, that's going to be the 3rd cocktail that we do coming up towards the latter part of our broadcast. But this evening, I'm going to start off with actually something sort of cool, really. I'm going to make one cocktail for you, but it's one out of another one, so it's kind of 2 cocktails. I'm going to be making for you an Easter Godfather. Okay, an Easter Godfather. We've got Easter, we're right on the verge of it. You know, most of us are locked down for Easter, so I thought maybe this is going to be something that's going to be sort of kind of interesting for us to make while we're stuck at home. So if we've got no one to talk to, we can make this cocktail. So first of all, what is a Godfather? Godfather is an old cocktail, right? It goes back, I reckon, sort of hit its peak around the 1970s. Now, I know that there's a number of people on us tonight for whom the 1970s was in their youth. And there's also a few people on tonight for whom the 1970s is just ancient history. But hey, for me it was in my youth. And really simply, and I'll show you first of all what a Godfather is. Godfather is a mixture of 2 ingredients and actually on the whole, equal measures and really simple to make. So you take a glass, you drop some ice in your glass. Here we go. And then you add 2 ingredients. Obviously you realise that Scotch whiskey is one of those ingredients. So let's start with that. I'm using the Balvenie Doublewood that I cracked open last week in our broadcast. So we're going to start with this. So we have 5 ml and we just drop that in. That's good. Let's pop that back on. And then we take some Amaretto. So Amaretto, Italian liqueur, made from, or the predominant flavors and aromas are almonds and also peach kernels. So the little stones, inside the stones from the peaches, which are broken down. And it gives you that kind of marzipan aroma and flavor as well. And that's what we're looking for. So another 25, so we're doing equal. Let's just pop that in there. Let's just drop that in. And that, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, this is not our cocktail. It's not our first cocktail. This is just a Godfather, because I need you to know what a Godfather is before we start. So if I was serving this in a bar in the 1970s, and I worked in bars probably not as early as that, but around that sort of time, that's what I would have done. I might have taken a slice of orange or a bit of orange peel and put that on as garnish, but that would have been our Godfather. But we are making an Easter Godfather, and the way you turn this into an Easter Godfather is you do this. So I'm going to take our Godfather and put it into my mixing glass. Let's get that glass out of the way. So remember, we've got 25 ml of Scotch. I've used Balvenie. You can use whatever you want to choose. We've got 25 ml of Amaretto, and now we're going to add a few more ingredients. So some cream, and I want to get the measurement of this right because I want to keep it equal measurement. So this is 25 ml again. So we've gone 1, 1 and 1 as far as the measurements are concerned, and in goes the cream. Now also, because this is for Easter, I need to add an Easter egg. Actually not a whole egg, but just the yolk from an egg. So I've already cracked that and separated it. I got it in this little container here. So I'm just going to put that in like that. That's good. And let's drop that by the side. And actually, you might think the idea of an egg yolk in this drink probably is a little bit, whoa, really? An egg yolk in the drink? But actually, when you start to shake this up and you mix it with the cream and everything else that's in it, it creates incredible smoothness. Before I shake it, let's see what else you're talking to me about. Well, congratulations to Gary going on there. both winners. Congratulations, congratulations. So congratulating. Bruce is saying, I love the Godfathers. What's this? What's going on with moving the shaker about? That's from Cheryl, who you now all know is my wife. What are you talking about? You talking about this or this? I'm not sure what you're talking about. David, Glenn Farker's 25-year-old was a miniature from the distillery. Great. Still, 25-year-old, we want to see you drinking it. Send me that picture. Send me the picture, you drinking that. Stick it across to me on Messenger and up on the page. Simon, what's going on? He's going all Paul Daniels on us. Oh, that! Okay, what, this? Okay, I get it now. Hello, drinking Toki Highball. Thank you, Dennis. I'm pleased to hear that. Cheryl's looking for the ball under the glass. That will come later. And a hi to Marie. Right, so we've got our ingredients in here. This would have been simply a Godfather, but we're turning it into an Easter Godfather. So we've added the cream, we've added the egg yolk, and now I'm going to give it a shake. Here we go. And you need to shake well because you want to make sure that that egg yolk is nicely mixed up. It adds a smoothness, a creaminess, and a kind of, I don't know, Eastery egginess as well. Okay, let's just separate that. Now, my new sponsor, which is Urban Bar, who's given us these beauties, which I'm going to show you a bit later, has also given me another glasses. I love retro glasses, so they don't just do retro glasses. They do a lot of modern stuff, but I love this one. This is based on the 1920s design, and it's a little coupette, and that's what I'm going to use for this cocktail. So I'm going to strain our Godfather, or rather our Easter Godfather, into our 1920s coupette, like so. That's good. Let's just pop that on the side. And then I'm just going to give it a tiny little garnish of some dark chocolate. You know I've got a bit of a thing about dark chocolate, but I'm just going to grate some dark chocolate onto the surface, like so. That's good. And let me just bring that a little bit closer to the camera, and hopefully you can see that this, ladies and gentlemen, is our cocktail number one for this evening. This is our Easter Godfather, and delicious looking too. Let me just wipe that off of there. Now I found out this week that one of our regulars who is with us tonight, Paul Slade, has been writing down the recipes that I've made since I started broadcasting a few years ago. So we swapped a couple of emails, and I think it's in the region of 45 or 46 different cocktail recipes that we made. And I'm actually thinking that I might actually compile those in some kind of online book that everyone can download as well. But hey, let's just have a little taste. Here we go. Oh, it's gorgeous. The amaretto is coming through. The Balvenie whiskey that I put in there gives the amaretto lots of body. The cream is fantastic, but actually the egg being in there is not at all eggy, but it just makes the cream more creamy and in a strange way quite light as well. Love the chocolate on the top. Loving this. Really pleased. In fact, I'm going to give myself a 10 out of 10. Let's put that to the side, like so, and say a few more words to what's going on. He clearly doesn't realise what he's doing. So those of you who were with us 2 weeks ago know that I have my wife here as my special guest, and she will be returning in a week or so as well. So those of you who said bring back Cheryl, she will be coming back. But right now she's not far away from where I am now, but she's just making her comments here instead, and doing what she did when she was sitting here, with just being a massive distraction to me. Jane, love that glass, loving it too. Barry, he's been drinking. Has he been drinking? How do you put that there? I don't even know how you do that. Top idea now, I've won the cocktail set. Absolutely. That one looks seriously good, says Dave, and it is. It's a cracking cocktail. All right, good. So let's move on with our little Geek of the Week competition. My iPad has just gone to sleep, so let's wake that up. By the way, cheers to you all again. It's Wednesday when we started doing this. Well, we've been doing this for a number of years. We started doing these kind of lockdown broadcasts a few weeks ago. It was already dark outside at this time. Now it's still light, which is incredible. But hey, cheers everyone. So, you should have two answers from me. and you need to add those to these potential answers, which are all going to help you to get the keyword that may or may not end up with you being this week's Whiskey Geek of the Week, which is becoming, after just 1 week, the title that anyone who is into whiskey and considers themselves a geek is the one title that they want. All right, question number 3. Here we go. What is the name of a cask that is between 190 and 200 litres in size? So this is the most common cask that is used for aging whiskey. So it has a particular name, and I'm going to make this easy for you. It is a colloquial name. It's a name that you all use when you refer to a cask. So there are many different sizes of cask. They all have different names, but this one is the one that you recognize. More than anything, don't overthink this question. The cask that is between 190 and 200 litres. That is question number 3. Write down your answer because you're going to need that as well. Okay. Question number 4. Question number 4. Here we go. What is the most common grain that is used in Scotch whisky production? So what is the grain that we use when we are making whiskey, specifically in Scotland? So it is the most predominant. So we use a variety of different grains, but the one that is by far the most important, the most used, the most predominant is what? What is that grain? That is question number 4. So now you should have 4 answers down. You still don't necessarily know what it is that I'm going to ask you to do with your answers, but what you do know is that ultimately we are looking for the name of a whiskey brand, or you can say a whiskey distillery. The name is what we're looking for, and if you are a Whiskey Geek of the Week for this week, then you will work it out, but not yet because you don't have the other 5 questions and you don't know what I'm going to ask you to do with the answers. Let's look into this. Bruce, where's the guy in the corner? The guy in the corner is here. Actually, he's been here now for about 4 or 5 weeks. He's still over there. There he is, in the corner. Maybe we should have fed him. I don't know. He hasn't moved for about 7 days. But hey, he's still there. Smelling slightly odd, I got to say. Lubka, can be Scotch whisky and Godfather substituted by bourbon? Well, look, Lubka, you can put, as far as I'm concerned, you can put bourbon in. But if you look at the recipe, you know, the original recipe for Godfather, it says Scotch whisky. So hey. But you know, I'm pretty relaxed about these sort of things. Whatever works for you. Cheryl might steal that drink. Cheryl, she might steal that drink. I don't know if you actually noticed at some point, but while I've been talking to you, that drink has actually slid out of picture because she came in around there, took a taste, put it back, and it's gone. She's like the Scarlet Pimpernel. Ross, what are you saying? Yes, please create a download of your recipes. Okay, well, you know what? I can't actually, unless I go back through videos, I can't remember them. So I'm slightly reliant on Paul Slade because apparently he's written them down. But it's something I want to do for you, so I will look at doing it. Bruce, sure, any whiskey will work, and that's what I use. So Bruce is saying yes to the bourbon as well, and that's cool with me. Replying to Bruce, yeah, where is he? Haven't seen him for a couple of weeks. Guy in the corner. Like I say, he's still there, just smelling bad and hasn't moved for ages. Simon, what was question number 2? Okay, so look, I got to tell you something about Simon who's just put up. Simon is from, he's a friend of mine, and he's from the village that I live in, and he also runs a pub quiz online at the moment in our village every Monday night. So all the locals sort of log on to listen to him run his pub quiz, and he is just sort of peppered all night long with people saying, can you repeat question 2? What was question 3? Give me question 8 again. It must drive him mad. So I think this is some kind of comeback on me. Alex Sisson has just joined. Pleased to see you there. David Rose, did I miss question? Okay, I'm going to give you question 2. Here we go. Question 2. You know what? I'm not even sure that I told you question 2. Actually, I thought everyone was joking with me. I only gave you question 1, didn't I? Right, I gave you question 1, 3, and 4. Big apologies. Thank you very much. All right, here we go. Nice, easy one for question 2. I thought Simon was having a joke with me. It turns out I actually didn't ask you question 2. So question 2 is this. What style of whiskey is Jim Beam? Jim Beam. What style of whiskey is it? I'll tell you this just for free. It's not a Scotch. There you go. There's a little clue for you. That's question number 2. J Whiskey, Musson, self-isolating from Geek of the Week this week. Let's share. Okay, so look, I tell you what, Paul, play anyway. But as you have pulled yourself out, if you do turn out to be the one who gets it first, we'll just say that you're pulling back and you're going to give the title to somebody else this week. Jane, I got your cocktail book and it's brilliant. Thank you, Jane. Which cocktail book is that? Because I've written quite a few, but I'm delighted to think it's brilliant. Bruce might want to check for a pulse. Yes, absolutely. And Simon saying you're worse at this than I am. That is for sure, because Simon is the god of this, whatever this is. All right, here we go. So question number 1, 2, 3 and 4 are done. We're going to come to question number 5 after I have done cocktail number 2. Remember, we got Mix With Me, the cocktail that hopefully you are going to mix along with me coming up shortly, and it's going to be after this cocktail. Also, by the way, just very quickly, for those of you that are VIP members, are going to be entering our spot prize quiz at the end, and it's going to show you what the prize is for the spot prize this week. And it's this, which is a picture that says whiskey. Let me just get that. How's that? Oh, that's better for you. This is the front cover of a book called Whiskey Made Me Do It. And that is our spot prize for our VIP members this week. Questions are going to come up right at the end of this broadcast, and you go onto our website to answer them. But Whiskey Made Me Do It, and essentially this is a book of 60 different cocktail recipes, all whiskey cocktail recipes. Now, you might think, hold on a second, I've already just been talking about releasing my own free download for you, and you will get that, and that's absolutely fine. My recipes on the whole are entirely different to what you find in this, but this is a really cool book. So if you want to win that, obviously you've got to be one of our VIP members, but that is our prize coming up later on. All right, here we go. Cocktail number 2 for this evening, and I'm sort of kind of excited about this. It's a play on the classic whiskey sour. In actual fact, it's called a whiskey sour pina colada style. How about that? Whiskey sour pina colada style. Essentially, this is a mashup between a whiskey sour and a pina colada. Pina colada, of course, the flavors we're looking for. Essentially, there are pineapple and coconut, and we're bringing those together with whiskey sour. This is an amazing drink and really simple to make. But before you make it, and this is a rule amongst all bartenders, whether you're just a regular bartender or like me, you are a world-renowned bartender, which that's just me blowing my trumpet a little bit. You always got to have a little shot of whiskey beforehand. Okay, here we go. So we're going to make this drink, and this one is going to go in another one of my new glasses. I'm very excited about all my new glasses. This is called a Calabrese Martini, which is sort of kind of cool, really. And I haven't used it yet, but we're going to put our whiskey sour pina colada style into this cocktail, or rather into this glass. So we start with the regular ingredients that you would expect for a whiskey sour. So we're going to start with, obviously, whiskey. And when you're making a whiskey sour, whiskey really needs to be the predominant ingredient. So I'm going to be putting, well, for this one, I'm going for 40 ml of whiskey. Now, what I would say is that you choose your whiskey. It's entirely fine, but honestly, I'd probably stay away from Islay whiskies or other peaty, smoky whiskies. Because if you're going to use a peaty or smoky whiskey, it's going to really dominate the flavor of this cocktail. And actually, you don't want it to. You want the whiskey to sit in there really subtly as a sort of underpinning, rather than something that's going to dominate the other flavors. So, if you want to do it, it's up to you. But my advice is stick to something a little more, I don't know, sherry cask, kind of Highlands maybe, but not peaty. Speyside, definitely those sort of whiskies. All right, so we got our 40 ml of whiskey in there. Next ingredient, of course, in any kind of sour is this. This is a lemon, and I'm going to cut this lemon in half. Let's just pop that over there. I want the juice of half of this lemon. So let me just go in here, like so. And it's normally around, again, about 20 to 25 ml of lemon juice. Just put it into my new juice squeezer. And it's probably slightly short, actually. I'm going to give it a little bit more. So I had less than half. I didn't exactly cut it in half, so let's just take a little bit more from the larger half. There we go. All right, I'm good. So I think that I'm talking somewhere around about the 20 to 25 ml mark as well. Let's just put these to the side. All right. So at the moment we're looking like a traditional whiskey sour. At this stage I would be adding some sweetness, but the sweetness is going to come in a second. And then I would also be adding some egg whites. So in here I have, you might remember the previous cocktail I used the egg yolk. This is the egg white, and I'm going to add that to the whiskey. Here we go, that's our egg white. And now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into the pina colada style. So I'm going to add sweetness, not by sugar. Ordinarily it would be something like sugar syrup or caster sugar, but I'm going to put some Malibu in. So Malibu is a rum based liqueur. It's coconut flavor, as you all know, because it's one of the biggest selling products in the world, so everyone knows about this. But it's also sweet, and it gives me the sweetness that I want. So I'm going to add, just by hand, I'm not measuring it, but around about 15 ml. So it gives me enough coconut in terms of aroma and flavour. It gives me enough sweetness in terms of turning the lemon juice into a sour. And then finally, we're also going to add some pineapple juice. Just going to give this a stir to make sure it's mixed up, because pineapple juice separates. And of course the pineapple with the coconut turns our whiskey sour into a whiskey sour pina colada style. So let me add, again, this is around about 20 ml, so no more than 20. And then we've got all our ingredients. So it looks relatively unassuming at the moment, but the flavors in here are absolutely, I think it's a bit like a kind of orgy of flavors. You know, they're coming together, they're supporting each other, they're mixing with each other, and they're coming up with a really quite unexpected, incredibly delicious cocktail. So add some ice. Here we go. And then our shaker, and we're going to give this a good shake. Remember there's egg white in there as well, so I want to make sure this is shaken up really well. Here we go. All right, I'm going to keep going. I can start to see that really frothing up, and we're good with that. We're going to open it, pop that in there, and then we're going to strain into this fabulous Calabrese martini. Just going to bring it up to within about 5 ml at the top of the glass, and you can see now that it's starting to separate because the pineapple juice and the egg white is going to give a wonderful frothy head to the drink. Unmistakably a whiskey sour, but with those fabulous pina colada notes. Let's just bring this into you here. That's kind of a sexy glass, don't you think? What are you saying to me? Gareth saying bourbon. Jane, 101 award-winning cocktails. Thank you very much for that. Yes. Jane, where did the lemon go? As in the glass, or over here in the sink? Yeah, it just went on the sideboard of the sink, unless you saw me put the squeezing it in there. What's this, Roz? I love pina colada and whiskey sour. Where can we buy those glasses? They are lovely. Jane, I'm pleased you asked that question, and I will give you the answer to that shortly. But here, little cheers for you. And it's a kind of gorgeous cocktail. So it's not overdoing any of the flavors. If you're looking for something sweet, like an actual pina colada, it's not that sweet. If you're looking for something sour, like an actual whiskey sour, it's not that sour. But what you've got is you've got hints of the whiskey sour, you've got hints of the pina colada. The two come together and they come up to create a really quite spectacular cocktail. So let's pop that there. And that is our cocktail number 2. Cheers, by the way. How are we doing? All right. Look, great glass. Love it. Yeah. absolutely. Jane, your magic trick, what, with the lemon? Yes, absolutely. And that sounds good, says Kieran. So look, listen, I'm not here to really promote and publicise, but all the glasses and the cool kind of cocktail equipment that I've now been sponsored with comes from a company called Urban Bar, which, by the way, you can access online whether you are in the UK or the US. They ship all over the world. But if you do want stuff, obviously you can go on there, you can buy all the glasses I'm using and all that sort of thing. But actually I've just negotiated, funnily enough today, I've just negotiated an arrangement with them because they're our sponsors where I can get our members, so you have to be one of our VIP members, but I can get you 25% discount on the range. And I got to tell you, that's 25% discount across everything. So honestly, it's almost like giving you your money back and more compared to people who are subscribing to be our members. But hey, look, I'm not trying to push this to you, but if you're interested and you are one of our members, wow, and they got some amazing stuff. I'm really quite excited about what they give. Next cocktail we're going to come up to is, of course, our Mix With Me, which I am more excited about, and I'm going to be using this. How about that? Check it out. What do you think? This is called a tattoo cocktail shaker because it's covered in tattoos. You like that? You like it, but I kind of like it, and I'm going to be using that along with my tattoo measure over here. And it means that it's time almost for you guys to join me in mixing the cocktail for this evening. But of course, before we go into that, having actually now given you questions 1, 2, 3 and 4, I'm going to give you questions 5 and 6 of our little competition here to become this week's Whiskey Geek of the Week. Bruno, now that's your book, not available in the US right now. Says they are working on it. Is that right? It's not available out there? I'm really upset about that. I've got a couple of guys from the US in the book. Yeah, that's a shame. Listen, Bruce, if you want it, I'm sure we can sort something out from the UK. But hey, hopefully it'll be available in the US. You Beauty is already Richard Webster saying, who is our winner tonight. I'm not sure what you mean. This, yeah, the tattoo cocktail. How cool is that? Jane is saying, drink Cheryl. Ah, okay. So Jane spotted Cheryl. So did you see it happen again? So Cheryl, who already tried this one, has just had a go at that one. Again, she's not here. She's not out. She just sort of wanders in from where she is in another part of the building, and then sneaks a little taste of the drink. And none of you know she's doing it. Of course, apart from Jane, who spotted her. And look, someone's stealing that drink. Yeah, sorry, Lubka, well spotted. She has been caught. Bruce, mystery hand just stole. Everyone's got it now. Everyone has spotted her. After I mentioned it, now everyone's got it. The glasses deal. All right, questions number 5 and 6. So hopefully you got the first 4 answers. Remember, you need a pen, you need a pencil, some paper, or in the case of Barry, you need a crayon. Here we go, question number 5. Now you've got to be a whiskey geek to know this, I think. What country produces Paul John whiskey? That's it. What country produces Paul John whiskey? Now, if you know whiskey, you will know the answer to that. If you don't know whiskey, you might actually be somewhat misled by the name of the whiskey. What I would say, and this might confuse you even more if you're not a mega kind of whiskey fan, what I would say is that Paul John whiskey is produced by one of the biggest whiskey consuming nations on the planet. All right, that was question 5. Question number 6. Which brand of whiskey produces a release or a variety called Supernova? Supernova. You know it. You know it if you're a whiskey geek. If you're not a whiskey geek, you don't know it. But you can look it up, so I guess you can cheat. But it doesn't mean you're going to win. Because the time it takes you to look it up, I guess it's going to slow you down for getting the title at the end of this week. So, which brand of whiskey produces a release of a variety called Super? Alright, that is question number 6. We have, what do we have? 1, 2, 3 more questions before we find out who is this week's Whiskey Geek of the Week. But it's come to that time where we are going to be doing Mix with Me. Essentially, this is something we have been doing for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I give you the ingredients up front, it gives you a chance to bring them together, and we mix a cocktail together. Now, not many of you have been sending me your photographs of your cocktails, but a few of you have. But I want to encourage you that if you're going to do this with me now, take a photograph, send it to me on Messenger. I want your pictures, I want to see how you're doing. It makes us feel in touch. And actually, it seems that a lot of people are enjoying this, even though they're not sharing their photographs. And it's something that I want to sort of stretch out, really, because especially now that we're locked down and the world is going through what it's going through, and we're just connecting a little bit better with each other. And I just think this is one of those ways that for a bit of fun, we can really connect with each other. So send me your pictures if you're doing this. But just to remind you what you're going to need. You're going to need some whiskey, your choice. Some coffee, hot or cold. Doesn't matter if it's been sitting there all day or you've just made it. We need some maple syrup or some other syrup. You know, so sugar syrup or agave syrup or whatever syrup you want to use. And of course we need some cream. That's 4 ingredients to make actually a really delicious cocktail. And why are we doing this? Well, we're doing it to show you that actually making cocktails is not about having a fully stocked bar like this and what's behind me and what's over here. It's not about that. It's about actually realizing that you've already got ingredients in your house, in your cupboards, you know, in the drawers of your kitchen that you can use to make really delicious cocktails. And that's what we're going to do with this one. And this one actually is called a Café Royale. Loving the name of this cocktail. Really simple, but just completely delicious. Before I get into it, I want to see who else is talking to me. Jerry has joined us. And Bob is saying, drinking JP Wiser's Canadian whiskey. Good on you, Bob. By the way, just tell me, I don't know if it's frozen or not because we seem to have got a bit quiet in the comments, but tell me, please, if you are about to mix this cocktail with me, just say, yeah, I'm in. I just want to see who's mixing it. Because it's sort of worth knowing, really. You know, maybe I'm just you know, a loner on my own, just mixing it on my own. I didn't realise that, but I think some of you are going to do it. Bruce is saying, making mine with melted vanilla bean ice cream as I had no cream. Bruce, you're just, you're creative. There's a word for it. I mean, maybe there is another word for it, but you are definitely creative. Who else? Who else is in? Are you mixing this with me? The ingredients have been out there for a few days. Here we go. 4 ingredients: coffee, whiskey, maple syrup and cream, and this is what you do. In fact, I use my lovely new Tattoo cocktail shaker. So using this one, normally you can see what I'm doing because this is glass, but I'm going to put it in this because this is a metal shaker. And we are going to start with whiskey. Now, if you've got a measure, then I would say measure it out, and I want 35 ml of whiskey. If you don't have a measure, then just estimate it. See how you do. See if you can write. Who else is there? More comments coming in. Jane, Simon is in. Yes, Lubka is in. Waiting for already, Richard Webster. Waiting for his cocktail set to turn up. Paul is in for the first time. David is in. Virgin Cocktail Maker and Cat. My internet. Well, I'm not even sure what that means, Kat, but I'm just guessing you're in as well. So you've got your whiskey in, 35 ml. Now, bearing in mind, I am putting it into a glass like this, which is about 10 to 12 ounces in size. If you want to make a bigger version for yourself, like in a great big container, some huge great mug or whatever, then just up the ingredients, but keep the ratio the same. All right, so we got our whiskey in, now our coffee. Now this is why it doesn't matter whether your coffee is cold or hot, because we are going to chill this, because we're going to shake it with ice, right? If it's hot, it can go in now because there's no ice in there, it's not going to melt the ice. If it's cold, it doesn't matter, it can still go in now. I had, this was hot about an hour ago, so just to give you an idea, it is really fine if you let it sit there for a little while. I'm going for 35 and then another 15 So I want a total of 50 ml. That is 50 ml. So we've now got 35 ml of whiskey and 50 ml of coffee. If you were making this in a long, tall glass, you maybe would go for 70 ml of whiskey and 100 ml of coffee, or some kind of variation like this. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the maple syrup. Now, I'm using maple syrup over and above sugar syrup, primarily because I love the flavor of maple syrup. You know, it has a really distinctive aroma, texture to some degree, and flavor. But if you just want to use a sugar syrup, that's fine. But I said any syrup of your choice. So you know, if you've got a chocolate syrup, actually put it in there. If you've got even things like, I don't know, strawberry or watermelon, I'm not saying don't use them. Try them out. But this one for me, number one. Chocolate's pretty good, I have to say. So I'm just giving this a bit of a squeeze, and I can tell you in terms of measurements, that's around about the sort of 10 to 15 ml, something like that. And then finally, cream. So I got my cream in here, which I used a bit earlier in the first cocktail, and I'm just going to pour that in. And actually, I only just about had enough in there, as it turns out. So what I've got in there now is 35 ml of my whiskey, 50 ml of the coffee. In terms of putting in the maple syrup, I've got 10 to 15 ml, and the cream in the end was around about 20 ml. If I'm honest, I'll happily put in 30 ml of cream. I just ran a little bit short. I'm going to add some ice now. Now remember, if you don't have a cocktail shaker, there's two things you can do. One is you can buy one, and the other thing is you can use something else. So you can use a glass jar that is empty with a lid, and you can shake it in there. If you've got one of those water bottles that you take down the gym, you can use that. Anything where you can pour it in, do it up, give it a shake, and then undo it after all. But for me, very exciting. First time I've used my Tattoo cocktail shaker. Gonna give it a good shake. All right, we're good. Oh, it's looking amazing. I'm going to take my strainer. I'm actually going to put a little bit of ice into my glass, and then we're going to strain in, and we're going to bring it pretty much up to the top of the glass. And I'm just going to swirl my shaker a little bit more, because I know I've got a fair bit of froth in here, which is what happens when you have cream and coffee in the same glass. So I want to shake that out. That's good. Let's pop that in there like so. And remember, apart from the whiskey, which is obviously alcohol, which I'm hoping that you got, these are all things that are just sitting in your cupboard. So these are cocktails which you could go into a bar and spend £5 or £8 or £12 or 15 or 20 or £25, depending on where you buy it from, or dollars, by the way, if you're over the other side of the pond. Or you can make it for yourself for next to nothing, and as long as you're doing the right thing, you're essentially creating the same quality drink. Now, I didn't put this on the list, but I'm going to put some garnish on this. So if you were getting your ingredients together, I'm actually just putting a little bit of nutmeg on the surface, like so, because I like a bit of nutmeg. Up to you, if you want. Remember I had the chocolate before, you can grate some chocolate on there, you can put some cinnamon on, you can put whatever you want, any kind of spice. You can even put some chili on there as well. Smells amazing, looks incredible, looks like a top-end cocktail that you would spend lots of money on in a bar. It tastes incredible. Smooth, light on the coffee, nice and creamy. Whiskey as ever coming through. Fabulous cocktail on here. Gary, after the shock of winning, and now my second Jameson Stout cask. Good for you, Gary. Pleased to hear. Kat, it froze for questions 5 and 6, but yes, I'm in. All right, Kat. That's good. 6. Don't worry about that. David, you didn't mention ice. Quick, sprint. Sorry, David. I just made the assumption that people would go for the ice. That's my apologies, everybody. Yeah, listen, if you're making cocktails with me this week, next week, whenever you're making them, you're going to need some ice. Gary, same as Kat here. Okay, don't worry, we're going to do that. What's this? What country is John Paul whiskey and what brand is it? Oh, you've given her the questions. That's pretty cool, but I'll go over them again. Tastes amazing, says Jane. Jane, if you made it, please send me a photograph. Pink Panther strikes again, says Cheryl. And where is Cheryl? Can anyone see the drink that I have just made on the screen? No, you can't see it because my wife is standing not more than 3 feet away from where I am as I'm talking to you. And in a second, you will see her replace the drink. While, actually, no, she's not, because now she's walking away. She's walking away, she's taken that drink, it's gone, she's gone, game is over, she's done that. But I've got this, so cheers. All right, don't forget to send me, you can send me those pictures through Messenger. Trevor Nichols, what are you saying? Well, Paul, I managed it over fashion. Brilliant. Send me the picture. No ice, no shaker, but it tastes good, says Kat. And just lost. I'm not even sure what just lost means. All right, here we go. So 3 cocktails down. We're getting into the sort of quiz end of the broadcast this evening. So just very quickly, I'm going to go over questions 5 and 6 because what I know 2 or 3 of you have asked what were those questions. So question 5 was, what country produces Paul John whiskey? And there you go. Did you see that? Did you see what happened there? The glass reappeared, but something appears to be missing. There you go. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that is the very reason why Cheryl is a very infrequent guest on the broadcast. Because if I have her here too often, the likelihood of her falling off of the stool right in the middle of the broadcast is very real. So there you go. That is our Scarlet Pimpernel. So question number 5. I already said question number 5. Question number 6 was, which brand of whiskey produces a release called Supernova? And that brings you up to where you're at. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so I have 3 more questions for you. And then we're going to go into the sort of close and the VIP questions and all the rest of it. So, to be our Whiskey Geek of the Week, you first of all need to answer these 3, add them to the 6 that you got, and then there's a chance that you might have your picture emblazoned right at the head of the Dream Whiskies Facebook page for all 11,000 plus of our followers to see. Question 7, here we go. What is the single letter that Macallan used for the Lalique decanter that is also available in a black version? So there is a regular version and a black version, and they call it Macallan something. 1 letter. Macallan what? I also give you a clue. Right, the regular version costs about £3,500–4,000 for a bottle, and the black one costs twice that, so £7,000 plus. That was question number 7. What is the letter? The Macallan what? All right, question number 8. Which distillery produces a whiskey called Abuna? Which distillery produces a whiskey called Abuna? All right. Abuna. By the way, Abuna is really difficult to spell. It's like A''B-U-N-A-D-H or something like that. Abuna. But if you're a whiskey geek, you'll know the answer to that. Well, so Lubka, tasty, but I've had an accident with my jar. The lid was not closed. Oh, no, Lubka, I got to tell you, every top bartender around the world, the better the bartender, the more accidents they've had, either with a shaker or a jar or a blender. When I was in my 20s, my boss was giving me a hard time in the bar, and I forgot to put the lid on top of the blender. When I was making a frozen cocktail, switched the blender on, everything, everywhere over my boss. We've all been there. You're Luca. Jane, are you wearing your cocktail? Oh, Paul, think I've got the Geek of the Week answer. Paul, honestly, if you've got the Geek of the Week answer already, I'll be amazed. That's almost going to make you like a lifetime Geek of the Week. what's that? Geek of the millennium, I guess. Bob saying Johnny Walker, New England Black Wolves. I'm not sure what you're saying, Bob, but listen, I don't even know what to say. I'm not sure what you're saying at all, but it sort of sounds cool. Ninth question, here we go. This is the last question, then I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for. If Paul's already got it, I'm going to be totally blown away with this. Karazawa, it's a Japanese whiskey. And actually, it's a distillery that closed down some time ago, and their whiskies are very expensive and very collectible. And they produced all sorts of very rare sets, but they produced a particular set of 3 bottles that honoured 48 wrestlers. But bearing in mind what country we're talking about, what style of wrestling was it that those wrestlers did? So they produced a range or a set of 3 bottles of whiskey called the 48 Wrestlers, but what style of wrestling was it? This is Karazawa, Japanese whiskey. Okay, there you go. That is question 9. So you should have had 9 questions. You have had 9 questions now. You should have 9 answers. And this is slightly different to last week because Paul last week got it so quickly. I thought, right, I need to mix the game up a little bit. I'm looking for the name of a distillery, the name of a whiskey. And what you got to do is you got to take the last letter of each answer, not the first letter. I want you to take the very last letter of each answer. That should give you 9 letters. And those 9 letters are an anagram of this distillery, of this whiskey. The first person to put the answer in the comment box will be our Whiskey Geek of the Week. Paul, you're not allowed to play, only because you decided to pull yourself out of it. But if we get nowhere and nobody has the answer, I'm going to give you a go because I'm really interested to see if you actually got it in advance. So we are looking for what we got. Oh, I see what you're doing. Bob's put Johnny Walker Black. That's not it. Paul has got it. Damn. Paul, it's spectacular. I'm amazed that you got it. Right, so Paul has put his answer, essentially he's put his answer with mostly dots, but he's put the first letter in the right place and the last letter in the right place. And that's a clue, that's a clue. So if you don't know what it is, Paul has got it. Paul, you're some kind of whiskey genius, that's for sure. Bruce, the Daily Cooler drink tastes great. Pleased to see that. Pleased to see that. Simon, Glenn Mayer. Right. Honestly, not Glenn Mayer, but close. Very close. Very close, Simon. Simon's the first one, apart from Paul, who seems to have got it. Let me just check that I've given you all the right things. Yes, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's right. So last week, a lot you had the answer, but Paul came in really, really quick. It looks like you're not sure. So I'm going to give you, if you haven't looked through the comments, Paul's clue is this. It starts with a G and it ends with a Y. Okay? Starts with a G, ends with a Y. That is correct. The question is which one it is. Oh, Simon's got it. Murray. He says Murray, and that is the correct answer. It is Glenn Murray. Or Glenn Murray, depending on how you want to stress it. But yes, Simon, believe it or not, you are our Whiskey Geek of the Week. Your face is going to be plastered all across, well, at least at the top of our Facebook page. I'm not even sure how I feel about that, really. But I'm going to say I feel good about that. Trevor put G.I. Morangi. Yeah, why not? Somebody else put Glenn Morangi as well. Richard Webster comes in. Already Richard Webster comes in with Glenn Murray as well. It's the correct answer, but Simon got there first. Simon, you are somehow our Whiskey Geek of the Week, and delighted. By the way, Paul, who was last week's Geek of the Week, just blown away how you got the answer that far in advance, especially as I mixed it up as well. Simon, I need you to take a photograph of yourself, please. Messenger it to me. Photograph of yourself with a whiskey in your hand, so I can make up our Geek of the Week little header to put on the site tonight. Yay, Simon's a geek. Everyone knew that. Everyone knew that. Everyone knew that as well. Simon's a local. He's the guy I told you about earlier on. All right, so only a few things left to do this evening. First of all, big thank you for everyone for joining us. Hope you had fun, etc. We have a VIP quiz. That's if you are a member. Plus, there are some other competitions going on which I need to tell you about. So let me tell you first of all. The prize for this week's VIP spot prize giveaway, if you are one of our members, is this book, and it's this little cocktail book. It's called Whiskey Made Me Do It, and it's got 60 fabulous whiskey cocktail recipes in there. Not quite as fabulous as all the ones that I've been putting out over the last few years, but fabulous nevertheless. And you need to answer 4 questions on our website. The link is in the description. 4 questions on our website about the cocktails that I made this evening, and these are the 4 questions. Question number 1 is, what is a Godfather cocktail? Remember, these are multiple choice on our website, so you tick the answer that you think is correct. Question 1 is, what is a Godfather cocktail? 2, what spirit base is Malibu? I know it's not actually a whiskey question, but we put it in our cocktail. Everyone knows what Malibu tastes of, coconut, but what spirit base is it? Question number 3. What do we add to the Godfather cocktail to turn it into an Easter Godfather? So I showed you first of all what a Godfather was, then I changed it by adding a couple of ingredients to it. What were those ingredients? Again, multiple you pick on our website. And finally, what was the name of our Mix With Me cocktail? So the last one where we mixed together, I gave you the name of the cocktail. What was the name of the cocktail? If you are a VIP member, you can enter our VIP spot prize giveaway on our website using the link in the description. And if you are the winner, which I will announce next week, you will win that book, get that sent to you. Very quickly, question 1, what is a Godfather cocktail? 2, what spirit base is Malibu? 3, what do we add to the Godfather to turn it into an Easter Godfather? And 4, what was the name of our Mix With Me cocktail? All right, so what else have we got for you before we go? So, whiskey competitions, link is in the description. If you want to become a VIP member, we're giving a 10-day free trial. Link is in the description. Sign up, try us out for 10 days. And now we are also adding more to what our VIP members get. So all our VIP members are into our weekly whiskey giveaway competition. And actually over the last 8 weeks, we've given away some fabulous whiskies. 3 people have chosen a bottle of Dalmore 18. It's a very popular whiskey, it seems, but we got over 50 that you can choose from, and very good chances of winning. The numbers of our VIP members are still relatively low. So we've got a whiskey given away each week. The VIP prize that we give away at the end of this each week, again, is for VIP members. We've got all sorts of stuff coming up. So we've got an exclusive whiskey cocktail course, which is going to be accessed you either have to buy it, or if you're a member, you get that for free. And also, we've got our new sponsor, and our new sponsor is giving us all this amazing glassware and fabulous bar equipment, which I'm going to be showing you more and more. It is top-end premium stuff, and if you want to buy yourself some stuff, if you are one of our members, we can get you a 25% discount. Now, bearing in mind that to be a member of Dream Whiskies is £5 a month, or if you pay a year up front, it's £50 a year, which works out at about £4 a month. But you can go and hit them in one order and get your money back and more, because they got some incredible stuff. Amazing range, actually, of glassware covering every style and type and an era of glassware. They've got the most sought after bar equipment. So if you're looking for some great shakers and mixers and stirrers and strainers and all that sort of stuff, it's all there. That is all part of being a member. If you are already a member, that code to give you your discounts on that will be coming out to you soon. But if you're thinking about joining us, hit the trial link in the description and sign up. So we need you to sign up, because if you don't sign up, we can't continue all of this. So we here before we Simon, who get me? Simon's properly full of himself. Before now, he just had a relatively inflated ego. Now he is a full-time, world-class whiskey geek of the week. A true geek, as Carl is saying. What's this? Jane, that won't be hard to photo about the whiskey in his hand, that's for sure. Loving the cocktail, by the way. Thank you, Trevor. Gary, well done, Paul and Simon. Sandy has just joined. Sandy's joined us at 8 o'clock. And this is the problem with people who live locally, and that is that Simon, actually, who's our Geek of the Week now, he does a broadcast at 8 o'clock on a Monday, which is our local pub quiz. So our locals tune into this at 8 o'clock and they miss us. So thank you for joining us, Sandy, but you're about an hour late. Sorry about that. Paul, often write in capital letters to make it easier to spot some sort of pattern. Yes, absolutely right. Actually, that's very, very good. I like that. I think about that. Well done, Paul. You're a true. Sandy, hi. Hiya and baya almost, but hi, Sandy. James telling Sandy this late. Everyone's telling this late. Clarky boy, I heard today that Glendronach Distillery is closing down. Is that right? That's sad. That is sad. But I have to agree with David. If that's the case, start buying that up. Buy up that whiskey and just sit it on the side for a while. Bruce has found the USA source for my book. Thank you very much for that, Bruce. If you're in the USA and you want my book, I'll show you what it looks like, by the way. Just getting it down from above the bar. This is the book I think that we're talking about. So this one is called 101 Award-Winning Cocktails by me. In here, what you will find are, well, as the cover says, each one of these drinks is an award-winning cocktail. So what's happened is that one of the best bartenders, or many of the best bartenders on the planet now, have entered these incredible drinks into competitions and have won. Many world champion recipes in there. These are all the sorts of recipes that people outside of the drinks industry never actually see. It's a bit like, you know, designers showing their stuff on the catwalk, but the stuff that you get in the shop is just versions of that. And it's the same with these. These are the real deal, amazing drinks by amazing bartenders. By the way, one of them in here is mine. I compiled the rest, and there's 100 other great bartenders' drinks in there. So that's the one, Bruce. Yes, go get it. And if you send it to the UK, I'll put a message in it, and then I'll send it. It would have ended up costing about $500, I should think. Sandy, yeah, sorry, I thought it started. Yes, we worked that one. Thank you for joining us, Sandy. Sherry, you can still watch later. Simone, Simmy. Simmy's doing the same thing. It's a shame. I'm going to have to tell all my sort of local friends and residents that what the time is. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll align with Simon. No, that's not going to work for everybody else. Okay, so we'll just do that. Dave Rose got the Abuna answer wrong. Okay, maybe I should just very quickly give you the answers, by the way, because I've asked you the questions. I didn't actually give you the answers. We just had the code at the end, didn't we? Let me tell you very quickly what they are before we go. So, there were 9 questions, and I asked you this. What do you call the whiskey that is lost from the barrel through evaporation? We call that the angel's share. So that evaporation that happens, 2% a year, that's the angel's share. So the last letter of that was an E. That's the E that we wanted. Question 2 was, what style of whiskey is Jim Beam? Jim Beam is a bourbon. So we wanted an N from the end of bourbon. Question 3, what is the name of a cask that is between 190 and 200 litres in size? It's the most common one used for aging whiskey. It's a barrel. That's it. We call it a barrel. There are all sorts of things like firkins and quarter casks and whatever, but that one is actually called a barrel. So we were looking for an L. Question 4, I said, what is the most common grain used in Scotch whisky production? It's barley, everybody. You knew that. I knew that, which means that the last letter of barley was a Y. So we wanted a Y. Question 5, what country produces Paul John whiskey? It's India. And actually, if you think India can't make whiskey, think again, because Paul John whiskey has in the past won the Best Whiskey in the World award. That is beating every whiskey from America and Scotland and Ireland and everywhere else in the world that makes whiskey. It won the #1 whiskey in the world. So India, and we wanted the A at the end of India. Question 6. Which brand of whiskey produces a release called Supernova? That is Ardbeg. Ardbeg is a whiskey that I know that Jane, who is watching, absolutely detests. But Ardbeg has a massive following, really passionate fans, and we were looking for a G at the end of Ardbeg. Question 7 was, what is the single letter Macallan used for the Lalique decanter that is also available in a black version? It is called Macallan M. Macallan M. A regular bottle of Macallan M is about $3.5 grand. The Macallan M Black is about £7,000, something like that. We wanted the M. Question 8, which distillery produces Abuna? And that is Abalawa, which is in Speyside. So Abalawa produces Abuna, and so we are looking for an R at the end of Abalawa. And finally, the Karazawa Japanese whiskey produced a set of 3 bottles honouring 48 wrestlers. What was the style of wrestling? It was sumo. Of course, Japanese wrestlers, sumo wrestling. So we wanted the O. So you take the O with all the other letters, shift them around, and you come up with Glen Moray, which is what Simon got to become our whiskey geek. Comments here before I say goodbye this week. Clarky boy, where do you get the book? Because I love cocktails, and can you get it signed? Yeah, absolutely. Look, Clarky boy, if you're in the UK, you can pick it up off of Amazon. To get it, you'll have to send it to me, and I'll send it back to you. That's fine. Great show, thanks. Thanks to Trevor, thank you as well. Sandy's saying, can we get the book, please, Paolo? Yes, you can. We can sort that out. Cheryl's saying, where are you based? So Cheryl's finding out about Glasgow. Yeah, no problem for that. Sandy, from, of course, how much are the books? I think, you know what? I'm not sure the cost of the book. I think it's something like about 20 quid. But you know what Amazon is like, right? Amazon is, you know, full price is 20. Is half a dozen people who sell it to you for a lot less. Listen, whatever you want to do, if you want to get in touch with us, send the book down here. I'll put a signature in it for you and send it back to you. Absolutely. And that goes for anyone, by the way, of course. Last thing to say is that obviously we want you to sign up and become our VIP members, because without VIP members, we really don't survive. But I have a competition also on the go right now. It's been running for the best part of a month, where you can actually win a year's membership for free. And there are 2 days left to enter. It's free entry. You don't have to be a member yet to enter, which many of you are not. If you're already a member and you win, I'll give you your subscription back. But if you're not a member and you win, then I will give you a year's subscription to Dream Whiskies VIP. There is a link in the description for that as well. So there are 3 links in the description. Make sure you get the right one. But ladies and gentlemen, that is us done for this week. We'll have another Mix It with me next week, and I'll put the ingredients out to you. I want to wish you all health, wealth, happiness. Stay safe. Strange times. Please look after yourself. Stay at home, sit it out, and be well. And hopefully I will see you all here, same time, same place next week. That is 7 o'clock UK time. 7 o'clock UK time here on the Dream Whiskies Facebook page. I want to thank you all and look after yourselves. Be well.